talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing, a special show coming your way tonight with a couple of special guests joining us. Before introducing them, I'd just like to say a little something about fishing in Victoria. In 1989, I first started camping in the beautiful fishing town of Narooma for my Christmas holidays, a small town on the South New South Wales coast where they boast 5 boat ramps, all with washdown facilities, all with cleaning tables, all with ample parking and right on the doorstep to some of the best fishing you could imagine. Their land-based fishing is second to none and the local government respects anglers. I often thought, why can't the whole of Victoria be like Narooma? And so I started on this journey. Under the banner of the Future Fish Foundation, I built 4 platforms in Malakuta, copying the design from the beautiful Narooma boardwalk. That was 2005. This is 2018. Over the past 12 years, we have seen Minister Joe Helper install new artificial reefs into Port Phillip Bay. We've seen Premier Steve Bracks buy back the Snobs Creek Hatchery from the private sector and end netting in Western Port. We've seen Premier Daniel Andrews open the gates to let water flow into Toolondo again. And we've seen Minister Jaala Pulford deliver on every promise the current state government made prior to the 2014 election. Victoria is now giving Narooma a nudge. And tonight, I hope we unveil what the next chapter looks like in making Victoria a better place to fish. Enough of that. It's a very big welcome to the man who travels by kayak, Adam Ring. Welcome, Ads.
Thanks, Dave. I'm particularly excited tonight. You know how I can tell? I've got my nice shirt back on. I got a haircut the other day. I am ready to go.
Big show.
Big show.
All right, it's also a big welcome to the man who travels all the way from Shepparton every week, Stephen Victor Trelfall.
Thank you very much, Dave. And you can see we didn't cross-check wardrobes. That was on the way in, and I didn't get a haircut, but that's all right. We're a bit of a country lad.
Well, it is a big show tonight, and let's get into it, boys, because there's a lot to talk about. Someone who is, well, this is twice in a month, I've got to say, the Minister for Agriculture, responsible for Fisheries, Jaala Pulford. Welcome to Talking Fishing once again.
Lovely to be back, and you're all looking very sharp.
Okay, we're better than, what, a few weeks ago, are we?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Fair. All right, now, this must be a big show because you brought the boss in.
I did.
Welcome to Talking Fishing, the Premier of Victoria, Daniel Andrews.
It's very, very good to be here.
It's a big night because you've come in tonight, like you did 3 years and 50 weeks ago. You came into 3AW, and I think we've got a shot of that. I want to see if you've aged much.
Let's, you reckon?
See. Now, what do you think about that? Have you aged? I think.
I can't see that far.
No, that's all good. But you did come into the 3AW studios. Adam and I were hosting 3AW back in the 3AW Fishing Show back in 2014, and you announced your policy. And I've got to say, it was a great policy. You have delivered everything that was in that policy, and we've thanked Jaala a few weeks ago. But can I sincerely, before we start the program, say thank you very much for what you've done in the last 4 years?
Oh, look, that's very kind, David. Look, I think the most important thing is for us to thank you for the partnership that we've had with you guys and through this program and your movement, all of your viewers. The reason it's a good set of policies from the last election and the stuff we'll talk about tonight, I think, is a really good offering as well, is because it comes from people, comes from rec fishers who are out there and know these issues so well. Yeah. That's how you get the best answers. Yeah. That's how you get the best policies.
Yep, there you go. So, I just want to recap, because something we do, Daniel, that you may not have seen before is that we cross live to Jaala's home and we go to her fridge, and she's got a list on her fridge that, you know, like, and you tick the boxes when you to-do list, and we've got Jaala's list here now. Let's have a look at that. So, ban commercial netting in Port Phillip Bay, save Lake Toolondo, marine stocking program, trout cod fishery is open, 2 lakes are open now. You stock barramundi into Hazelwood Pondage. You removed restrictions at Blue Rock Lake, which is fishing magnificently, I must say. $2,000 grants to fishing clubs. banned netting at the Gippsland Lakes river mouths, made Victorian Fisheries a statutory authority, and increased stocking from, well, it was going to be 3 million to 5 million, but you reached 6 last year. So you've ticked the list off.
I need a new list.
Well, we need to see what's inside for you.
Hopefully tonight you're here to write the new list. So it's a good list, and some of those things are pretty special and really making Victoria a different place to fish.
Well, I think target 1 million, David, to get to 1 million rec fishers by 2020, and what are we at, about 830,000, 840,000, so we're ahead of the curve, I think, we're going to get there, and with some of the stuff we'll talk about tonight, hopefully we can set Victoria up to be the absolute best. Yeah,
there you go. Tonight we are going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about stocking. We are going to talk about boat ramps. We are going to talk about the Gippsland Lakes. We've got lots to talk about. After the break, we're going to get stuck into the new list right here on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing.
We know what you'd rather be doing.
We know what you've really got in mind.
We know you'd rather be out fishing. And today's the day you're gonna wet a line. 'Cause every day's a good day.
Stop wishing.
Every day's a chance to drift away. Drift away.
Every day's a good day for fishing. See you down at Tackle World today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
And welcome back to a special edition of Talking Fishing tonight. None of our regular segments. We have got the Premier and we've got the Minister in the house, and we're talking fishing all night long. And there's a new list that we're going to create tonight, Jaala. We've ticked off your list all through the last 4 years, but tonight is about creating the new list. And Daniel, let's kick it off.
So the new list starts with nearly $27.5 million worth of support for rec fishing initiatives right across the state, right across the next 4 years. We just talked a moment ago about getting those stocking levels up from 3 to 5. We've got to 6 million. We think this package will get us to 10 million, which is a really important step forward, I think.
So that's 10 million fish per year.
Yes, that's right.
So how's that, excuse me, the infrastructure for this 10 million, how do you see that panning out with the Victorian capacity?
Shepparton's a really important investment that we've made there, and we were so proud to be able to do that. I don't think anything good comes from New South Wales, so having to import fish doesn't make any sense to me.
So what you're talking about, just for our viewers, if you weren't watching a couple of weeks ago, Jaala actually announced that if you're re-elected, you will build a new native fish hatchery in Shepparton. And that will,
it's a $7 million investment.
Yeah, and that will increase the capacity to allow you to stock 10 million fish per year every year since from 2022, I believe it is.
Correct,
Is that right?
It takes a bit of time to build up to that, but this is the beauty of being ahead of the target we set last time. We can be even more ambitious, and the Shepparton facility is great for jobs up there. And as I said, we shouldn't be importing fish. We should be able to breed our own, and these stocks are so important.
You're just going to have to clone Steve Vidler, aren't you?
He is a champion manager of that facility at Snobs Creek.
Yeah, that's right. And they do just an amazing job at Snobs Creek's at capacity. They're sort of working day and night on the hatchery. But when Charlie and I were in Shep together not all that long ago, we were talking about just how much interest there'll be from the community, from school kids and groups. And so when if we have the opportunity to design this and build it, which we very much hope to have, I think what we want is the real feature of it is the ability for it to be a place that people can visit as well. So have a really good kind of community access part of it.
Just on the hatchery, we showed it the other week, a concept diagram of what it may look like, and for the people at home, have a look at the bottom left-hand corner. That is to scale of the MCG. So that's the MCG down the bottom there, and that is how big the new native fish hatchery will be.
We thought we'd get a nice big one if we
that's right. Well, and the thing about this is, when you look at Snobs Creek's 70 years old now, and it's at the highest capacity it's ever been. So it's actually doing a great job, but it's old. This is actually setting Victoria up for the next 100 years. And I think, Daniel, you made a very important announcement a month or so ago about your new rail loop, and you said you will not be the Premier when this is made. This is for the future of Victoria. Well, I mean, this is similar. This fish hatchery is setting Victoria up for 100 years. You may or may not be the Premier when it first operates.
I think people want there's a lot of things people want right now, and we're getting on and delivering that. But then they want other projects that start now and do take some time. The stuff that will pay a big dividend in the medium and the long term. And this is fantastic. It's such a big investment.
I think people want things that aren't just for the term of government.
Well,
and this
future vision.
Yeah, that's right. This is big picture.
This is big. This is big.
And Snobs Creek's been fantastic, but this, being able to do natives on a much, much bigger scale is going to be
just bringing the natives as well to a climate which they're a lot more accustomed to. I mean, Snobs Creek is hardly the warmest place.
It was set up for salmonids and it snows there.
So there's also, I guess, a spill-on effect to them. They can concentrate on doing what they do best, which is the salmonoid market, which is not going to be ignored, but also giving us a facility where we can bring up these fish in a really nice, comfortable climate for them and get the most out of it.
So we've thought about access to land, access to water, and also, of course, transport. That's right, close to transport hubs, because the Snobs Creek vehicles are on the road all the time, day and night. But also, the climate's got to be right for that. And so, you're absolutely spot on there, Ad.
All right, so the first one, let's start creating this 10 million fish stocked per year by 2022. Jaala, next one.
Okay, so native fish, more native fish stocking in suburban lakes. So this is really exciting, and we've done a bit of this, but we want to expand it. And so I've got a little list of locations I'll share with you that we're thinking about. We very much like the opportunity to do this. So Rowville, Lilydale, Karkarook, Casey Fields, Navan Park, Roxburgh, and Melton.
There you go.
Yeah.
All popular places. One of the things with those waters is that they're stocked with trout now, but those trout never survive over summer because those small lakes, they just warm up too much, and so it's really only a winter fishery. Not good for taking the kids out fishing sometimes when it's in the gumboots and it's wet and cold. So this announcement will actually see those lakes being accessible with good fish in them for the whole of the year.
Yeah, that's right, and a real focus on silver perch, golden perch, and Murray cod in that. So the species that our rec fishers love to target.
Absolutely,
and one of the favourite things about being the Minister for Fisheries has been the sort of preschool holiday fish stocking in the spring, in particular, when we sort of run around stocking all of those waterways a couple of weeks before the kids all come out in school holidays. It's just the best to do that.
And how good is that? I mean, some of these lakes or waterways are just, the access is great. As a parent, you can see your kids run around there picking up bugs and doing all the other stuff that kids should be doing out while they're fishing and all that type of thing. So it's really, really good. It's very exciting to see.
So, Jaala, I guess it is a massive hot topic, native fish, and it's great that that's now the in thing with fisheries. Now, typically when they're stocked, they're generally stocked at a fingerling size. Is that what we can expect in these lakes, or is it more something...
Catching size, I think.
Put your hand up.
Bigger than this big.
Ready to be caught.
You're ready to be caught, because that is a big thing. Natives are generally put in as fingerlings, so if they're ready to be caught in suburban lakes, Murray cod, golden perch, silver perch, I mean, they've been stocked into Albert Park Lake for... I don't know, it must be 15, 20 years.
And it's like big yellows in there.
And it's like the only lake that's stocked with them. So.
And they survive. We've seen Albert Park, all those fish have survived through winter, the harshest of winters, the warmest of winters. They dominate through the summer and the warmer months. This opens it up year round.
It's wonderful.
It's fantastic for kids, for families, close to home, being able to get out and be away from the screen. Doing some stuff out in the fresh air with mum and dad and siblings and friends. It's really, really important.
Wonderful.
Any other species?
Well, we'll work with our, with our rec fishing advisory group, and
I had a note. You told me.
I'll do this. We're not in the suburbs anymore, but Lake Tyres and Eastern King prawns are important to you, and we're going to get that done. We're going to get that done too.
We have been asking for that for quite... There was actually a trial.
There was.
No more asking needed. It's done. If we're just a small matter of an election.
I'm excited.
24th November, get through that, and we'll get this done.
Because, Ads, you and I have seen
it. We enjoyed this.
We actually went to...
we enjoyed this.
You may or may not know, but the Victorian Fisheries Authority staff have a competition every year down at Lake Tyres, and we attended that once about 2 years ago, and the prawns in there from a trial stocking now. It's never progressed past the trial, but so now you've progressed it, you're going to do it.
What sort of numbers would you put on a stocking of prawns?
A couple of 100,000, I think.
So you make a sauce called the Daniel Andrews, a couple of 100,000 prawn sauce.
Like Thousand Island
That's
dressing,
right,
a couple of
yeah.
100,000 prawn sauce or something.
We're on fire tonight.
But can I just, I like mentioning this bloke because he annoyed me that night. He's actually become a really good customer. Bruce Kefford was the Dep Secretary back then. And Bruce, you and I went out prawning.
Correct.
And I'm just going to paint this picture. We went out prawning. We might have had a beverage while we were cooking our prawns.
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, it got to midnight. And midnight was the start of the fishing comp, technically. There's Bruce Kefford driving out of the caravan park. We haven't been to bed yet. We've been prawning. This guy's about to get an 8-hour break on us. Won the comp, didn't he? I mean, we enjoyed our prawns.
Oh,
But Bruce Kefford,
funny.
I'll tell you, I'll never forget that man. He annoyed me that night, but he's become a really good
I'm
fisherman.
going to tell him this story next time I run into him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, he's well aware of that. So
That's great.
Oh, good. Let's keep moving. Next one, Daniel.
We've got an opportunity, I think, to allow kayakers and other smaller craft with electric motors onto a whole lot of different waterways that they're currently not allowed to be part of.
Okay.
I've got a list.
Yep.
This show's all about lists.
So
right?
this is in the list.
So
Listed in the
on my list, there's a couple that aren't here, and I want to say something about that at the end.
Okay.
But Tullaroop, Lauriston, Hepburn, Barkers Creek, Upper Colaburn, and Malmesbury reservoirs. They'll all be for those smaller craft with electric motors and kayaks. We think that's just a smart thing to do. Again, opening up access, allowing more and more families to be able to engage in spaces that really belong to them ultimately.
Yeah.
Tarago's not on there. I know, and that's something that you and I have talked about, Devil Bend as well. We've just got a little bit more consultation to go through. I'm very keen to make Tarago happen if we can.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a little bit ahead of Devil Bend in terms of the type of fish that are in there, just the size of them, the unique nature of that, the real potential for that is probably Australia's best trout fishery, probably, wouldn't it be?
No, oh, absolutely.
So we've just got a few little hurdles to get through there, but we'll look at that very closely, and hopefully we can be back on the show in the future and say that we've found a way to get that done.
Yeah.
But that's the obvious omission, but I think that we can get there.
Yeah. The important thing, I think, with Tarago, because the spawning run that goes up the Tarago River, people do target them and they know just how beautiful those fish are. And I'd have to say, equal with anything that you get up at Yukonbean, equal with anything you get in the Tasmanian Highlands, it could be Australia's best trout fishery. But we've always understood it's a sensitive water, and it's a bit like is it the Tesla? The electric car. So, it's come along. Well, so is electric motors for boats. So you don't have the old blue band Mercury with a puff of smoke every time you take off. That's gone. And I just think, from a responsible angler's point of view, I really do think that, and it's great to hear, that we should be able to have boats with electric motors, because I don't think...
So we're talking tinnies here as well,
Absolutely.
aren't we, Brendan? Because I've got this
You can
crazy
put an
little
electric
following
motor
of
on your kayak
kayakers.
if you want. That might be a little...
I've got this
Here we
crazy
go.
little group of kayak followers who want more kayak stuff, and then I've also got this crazy little that like to take the mickey out of me because I'm in a kayak all the time. We might have a chat after the show and just strike out a couple of tinnies off some of those waterways and just go kayak.
You've got 3 followers, Adam.
Yeah, that's right. Better than one.
One's your wife.
And look, I think the key point here, surely, is that if we can find a way to let people into Tarago, for instance, that anglers will respond and be responsible. We have to have faith and confidence in them. They know how special this place is and how important it can be to rec fishing, not just for Victoria but beyond. And I think we should be giving them the benefit of the doubt, not putting regulations in place all the time that are
or a big
really
fence around the best fishery in
Australia.
Australia.
Where we assume almost that anglers are going to do the wrong thing, the rec fishers are going to do the wrong thing. I don't think that's fair.
No,
That responsibility falls back
and
on.
it's not the case. I mean, we have a really responsible community of rec fishers in Victoria, and the partnership that they have with the Victorian Fisheries Authority is very much a partnership. And I mean, you hear about it all the time. If people are doing the wrong thing, it's other fishers that say, "Hang on a minute,
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen that with Blue Rock and how successful that's become. So, so why not take that as the blueprint leading into the future for some of these other places that could potentially benefit from the same sort of action?
Been really good for the regional community too.
Definitely.
All the little takeaway shops around Blue Rock and that just saw no one in the past. Are seeing a lot of people now. So
it's the Blue Rock blueprint, David.
Write that down, Dave. Write that down.
Blue Rock
It's such a
blueprint.
beautiful
I like
spot.
that.
It is a beautiful spot.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
All right.
Yeah.
The number one question on people's lips are, what the hell is going on with boat ramps? Because people are sick of it.
Yeah.
What have you got for boat ramps?
We'll have a bit more to say very soon. We're giving you a fair few things on the list tonight.
Yep.
We need to just leave that one off for another announcement. But I've heard from you guys, from your viewers, and from wreck fishers and boat users right across the state that they're paying too much, and we'll have some exciting things to say about that quite soon.
All right.
Very good.
Okay.
He wasn't even disappointed that he didn't get that scoop. That's all. That's
Well, we've got a long list to get through, folks,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we want to keep moving. But I had to ask you about boat ramps
No,
because
fair enough. It's a very serious issue.
we put some social media up last night about
Yeah.
you were coming on the program, and every single comment was about boat ramps.
But there was a lot of
It's-
constructive stuff. I thought the people usually get a few keyboard worries on that stuff that just hang stuff. But put some really good constructed questions, and they really took a lot of ownership with that and the ongoing issue as far as boat ramps.
I think people are
Good
paying
feedback.
too much. We need to do something about that, and we'll have more to say. But the other one too, the notion of if you're fishing in multiple areas, having to buy multiple tickets, and it's just very confused.
crazy,
The
isn't
governance of this as well.
yeah.
There's no single voice,
Don't
no
give too
single
much away if you're
opportunity.
gonna tell us later.
We're going to tell you the rest of it later.
All right. All right. Next one. What's on the list?
Jaala's going to talk to you about camping grounds
Yeah.
and pastoral
Yeah.
leases.
Yeah,
Top my
so,
way.
yes, so along the rivers we've got beautiful areas for camping and for fishing where there are currently grazing licences in place. What we will do if we are re-elected is legislate to provide access rights to wreck fishers and including campers.
Yeah.
We think that the two can coexist well. They're beautiful spots, lots of them, many miles of river frontage.
That's right.
But at the moment, they're not accessible to everyone, and it's public land, and it should be shared by as many members of the public as it can be.
Yeah, there's some amazing access around the Goulburn Valley, up there through the Victorian side of the Murray River, and a lot of those areas we've got some incredible access. But often there's a laneway that's been closed off under the guise of fire restrictions or something like that. But again, it falls back to being responsible users of that particular parcel of land, isn't it? Which makes it all open up.
That's right, exactly, and that's sort of all about a very sensible partnership between the different parts of government that are managing different parts of land and making sure that you've got the right sort of activities going on them. Yeah, no, it'll be good. I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity for a lot of people to be fishing in places they currently can't.
Yep.
That's right, yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The list is building. We are here with the Premier, Daniel Andrews, and the Minister responsible for Fisheries, Jaala Pulford. We're building the list for the next 4 years if these two are re-elected. We've got plenty more to go, I can tell you. We've still got the Gippsland Lakes. We've got... I'm not even going to mention that. I can't. I'm not going to give it away. After the break, we're going to continue with the list. See you soon on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
Good morning, spotters. Stephanie speaking.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
And welcome back to this special edition of Talking Fishing, an election special. We are joined in the studios tonight with the Premier of Victoria, Daniel Andrews, and the Minister responsible for Fisheries, Jaala Pulford, making the new list, if you like, for the next 4 years if you guys are re-elected. So far, 10 million fish stocked by 2022, and that will be aided by a new native fish hatchery. Suburban Waters native fish stocking, including out to the regions with some prawns into Lake Tyers. We've got opening a whole lot of lakes to electric powered watercraft, small watercraft, including kayaks and tinnies. We've got opening grazing leases on Crown land to camping and fishing. And let's keep going with the list.
Tuna, I think is next.
Yeah, tuna.
Yeah, so Southern Bluefin tuna, we've been having a vigorous exchange of views with the
Bit of
federal
banter.
government for a while.
Yeah.
We'll obviously keep a very, very close eye on where they're at on this. There's been a bit of a change in the tone that's coming from the federal government just in recent times. When we get a new Prime Minister, we often get a new Minister as well. And so...
Who will it be like next month?
Yeah, so...
Sorry.
well, you know...
I resisted doing that, Johnny. But you couldn't help yourself.
But the beauty is, and let's, for the people at home, what happened is the Commonwealth Government, the former Minister responsible said, well, actually wrote you a letter, and you don't have to comment about this because I'm just going to say, wrote you a letter and said, virtually threatening to take over control of Southern Bluefin tuna, take it away from the state, cut the bag limits by half if you didn't make some things. And the federal minister denied to us rec fishers that that letter ever existed until someone got hold of it through Freedom of Information. And what came through to us was that they lied about writing to you. And basically you're now saying you're going to hold your ground and protect them for fishing in Victoria.
Yeah, so without sort of overly getting into that, our position has always been, you know, we're responsible.
Yep.
This is an incredibly important rec fishing pursuit for Victoria, and for places like Portland, it's a huge part of their economic activity. And so that's really, really important to us. And so when, you know, Southern Bluefin tuna is a species that is having, you know, is being rebuilt globally, and you know, we don't want to be irresponsible about that at all. We understand that that's incredibly important. But when Australia gets a bigger share of that fishery, that federal government was saying, well, here you go, commercial sector, you have that, and while we're at it, rec fishers, we're going to take your 2-bag limit, turn it into a 1-bag limit. We said, well, hang on a minute. Happy to talk about responsible management of the fishery, absolutely happy to do that. But like, let's get the science first, and let's do the studies and understand exactly what's going on in our rec fishery as well, so that we can, you know, have an evidence-based discussion. And we were getting a lot of pushback on that. The tone has changed somewhat at the moment, so they're going to start that study that they told us that they would start that hadn't. But yeah, I think we need to continue to keep a very close eye on that.
Yeah, Richard Colbeck, is it?
Yeah,
That's
Richard
now the
Colbeck,
Minister for Fisheries federally.
He's been the Minister before, and he is again, so he's got some experience in the area.
I think the misunderstanding with this subject is that you can't just have a bag and a size that suits all states, because in New South Wales, it's almost a completely different year class, isn't it? They're all 60 kilo.
That's right.
So everyone's happy with a 1-bag limit. Down in Tasmania, they're all big fish. Everyone's happy with a 1-bag limit. In Victoria, some of them are 10 or 15 kilo. They're small fish. And so it suits Victoria to have a bag of 2. And it just cannot be one rule for all states. And unfortunately, the feds just don't understand that.
And that's right. And there's lots of different ways to measure what's being taken at the moment, and to, you know, if it's required, if you know, everyone in the science tells us that, you know, there do need to be some limits and restrictions in place, that they need to be reasonable, and they need to recognise that, yes, one fish in New South Wales is the size of, you know, 3 or 4 from Victoria, unless you're at that, you know, particular couple of months of the year where ours are
big ones.
The big ones.
Even Western Australia, you've got 3 different zones, different sets of rules for fishing. Up the coast of Western Australia, so it
can't be the same everywhere.
It can't be the same because the different fisheries, different.
And there's lots of ways to do this, but let's get the science.
Exactly.
Let's get the science.
I mentioned in the intro that Joe Helper was, I would have said before you come along, Jaala, the best fisheries minister that I'd seen in my lifetime. And Joe, you know, he delivered some really good things. And one of the things he did do is he put the first artificial reefs into Port Phillip Bay in more than 20 years. And it was a great announcement at the time, and it was a long time coming because, you know, 20, 30 years ago, I guess there was no the rules weren't as strict, if you like, you know, and so now you've got EPAs and other authorities that say, hey, don't just put anything out in the bay, and it's got to be responsible and so forth. And so Joe did a great job in actually putting some reefs into Port Phillip Bay. Let's wind the clock forward. You've got some announcements about reefs now.
Yeah, so as part of this package, if we're re-elected, we'll invest $2.5 million into habitat in Port Phillip Bay, with a real view to saying what can be done around reefs. There are some wonderful projects. There's one, the Albert Park Angling Club,
the
done
shellfish
with the Nature Conservancy, which is just amazing in terms of rebuilding oyster populations, which has got this wonderful environmental benefit for the bay as well. And I'm, a brand spanking new scuba diver, so I'm excited about whatever's going on under the water at the moment. But we'd really like to do some more of that. So $2.5 million for some projects that will improve habitat and improve fishing opportunities. Very exciting.
One of the things I've lobbied for, and I think, boys, I've mentioned it a few times now, is that I think we're in a little bit of a danger zone with the yellowtail kingfish. We've seen a population of yellowtail kingfish, which is an exciting fish to catch. It's highly prized because it's probably the best sashimi that you can get, and one of the best eating cooked fish as well. And one of the issues, it's a real emerging issue, is that they're caught in the rip, and they're caught right in the shipping channel. And so the poor old Port of Melbourne authorities there with their big boat going, get out of the shipping channel every time a ship's coming. And it's got to be on their radar to ban recreational fishing. One of the things I'd really love to see, and I'm not going to ask you to commit 100% to it now, but one of the things I'd love to see is that some artificial reefs are built just off the side of the shipping channel to attract those fish, because they're highly prized. It would be a disaster if rec fishing was banned. It would be a disaster if someone got hurt by a ship.
That's
let's be proactive.
It's just using common sense. And
and
if we can clear up that conflict and not have people competing for the same water, then that makes perfect sense. This $2.5 million is, and I'd like to acknowledge Joe Helper as well. He's a great friend of ours and someone who did a lot across the agriculture portfolio. But of course, fishing was a great passion of his, and he did a very good job. But he took a big step. Now we need to go further, and part of that is also having important discussions about those issues that you've just raised. It's all about steps and lists. It's ever growing list.
We're building a list, and the people in the room outside of here are yelling at me saying you've got to get on with the list. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back very, very shortly with the Premier and the Minister here on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing.
We know what you'd rather be doing.
We know what you've really got in mind.
We know you'd rather be out fishing, and today's the day you're gonna wet a line. 'Cause every day's a good day.
Stop wishing.
Every day's a chance to drift away. Drift away.
Every day's a good day for fishing. See it down and tackle world today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
Alrighty, welcome back to Talking Fishing. We do have the Premier Daniel Andrews and the Minister Jaala Pulford in the house tonight, making a list of things that if you are re-elected, you're going to deliver on these things. But just before that, mailbag. Now, just go through a few. Got a few of these. Well, there's a fair bit of mailbag, but I'm going to can this, if you don't mind. They're all from Neil Mitchell. Every one of them is from Neil Mitchell. So, sorry, Neil. Did say today on 3AW that it was fishing only, but anyway, it's all good. Daniel, next announcement. What's next on the list?
The small amount of money can make a really big difference. We've got, obviously, coming out of the trust every year, there's a lot of money gets invested in the kind of infrastructure we need so that rec fishers can have access to all the facilities. We were talking about some of those things before. Part of the package we're announcing today is $600,000 on top of those trust investments that get made every year for fishing tables and things of that nature. Small things, but stuff that local communities can't do. Only the government can get that done. So that's a small investment, but one that I think it'll make a really big difference and improve the quality of the fishing experience at so many different places. And we look forward to continuing the discussion with rec fishers, your viewers and others about what the priority site should be.
Yeah, and having a bit of flexibility is good because I think things always change.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the city of Casey's expanding, it might need something, you know, in 5 years' time that it doesn't need now. So it's good to have that bit of flexibility in there.
Yeah.
All right, a big one. There is about to be a flood event down in Gippsland, and it probably won't put anyone in danger because you're going to talk about the Gippsland Lakes, and I think a few people are going to cry when you announce what you're going to announce next.
Well, look, we'll be pretty straightforward about it. We think the time for commercial netting in the Gippsland Lakes is over, and we're going to move to compulsorily buy back those licences. I think there's 10 of them that operate across the Gippsland Lakes now. They don't work for the environment, they don't work for rec fishers. Of course, we'll treat each of those licence holders fairly, just as we have done when we've gone through this process and delivered fantastic outcomes in other places. We just think the time has come for us to make this important step, and I think that those local communities and rec fishers far beyond who travel down to that beautiful part of our state, they're entitled to that body of water, that fishery being owned truly by all of us and not being captive to the commercial interest of a very small number of people. This is not an easy call to make. We do understand that this won't be, not everybody will necessarily support this, but those who've got a licence, they'll be properly treated, respectfully treated. They'll be bought out, just as we have done in terms of Port Phillip Bay. Jaala's led that process, and I think, you know, I was talking to Rex Hunt a little while ago, and he's a great friend of this program, a great friend of fishing. The excitement in his voice about the way the bay is now, and each of the fisheries that where we've taken the nets out are so much healthier, so much better now, and again belong to all of us, and that's exactly what they should be. So that, I know that's a big thing to do, but it's important that you've got that proactive agenda every 4 years. We can't stop. We've got to keep going to get to all these targets, but also to do the right thing.
I think it's important too to say that this isn't the end of commercial fishing in Lakes Entrance, because you drive down the hill of Lakes Entrance and you see all the trawlers there and all that. There is a very, very big offshore fishery.
This is about fishing in the lakes.
Yes, that's just
it's
the
not
lakes.
about offshore.
And you're going to be able to get your gummy shark and your snapper and all those, and the flathead that are all offshore species. No change there. It is still going to be a very big commercial hub for fishing.
Of course.
And you're still going to be able to get your fresh fish, which is absolutely fantastic.
There'll be, no doubt there'll be a bit of sort of mischief made about this, that it's the end of offshore. That's not what this is about at all.
No,
it's about the Gippsland Lakes that are owned by all of us, and everybody should be able to share in that asset. It's not just about getting the netting out though. We also need to make sure that we restore an environment that has not been very well taken care of over a long period of time. So some research, some science, and then
so
some profound investments.
You're going to do something separate?
Yes, that's right. So we'll do some further investments to make sure that we can rehabilitate and better look after, better take care of that precious resource.
It's you know, it's a heyday for tourism. A lot of people are describing as something in the past, and really the buyout of those licences is one part of it. But I think, you know, to do this properly and to rebuild what was once great there is the restoration of habitat, and so we're very keen to do that, and also to do you know, events with the local community, work with local tourism operators to really rebuild that into a very, very special fishing destination. But we'll deal fairly and responsibly with the licence holders in very much the same way that we did for Port Phillip, you know, taking into account the gear that they've got, the licence that they own, and what their catch history's been. So that'll be the model that we'll use going forward, and you know, that'll be you know, unwelcome news to those people, but you know, the people at the Lakes Entrance Fishing Co-op have got a really great vision around tourism and people being able to come to that beautiful spot that they've got there to come and buy their fresh fish, and you know, we really want to work with them on that part of their vision as we work through this with them.
One of the things that I'll remember that day 3 years and 50 weeks ago that we were in 3RW studios, and one of the things we spoke about with the buyout of Port Phillip Bay was the compassion, because you know, there are some families that have been in that industry for generations, but it doesn't mean it's got to go on forever. I mean, it's a bit like, I don't want to mention coal-fired power plants, but sometimes they don't go forever, and then there's sometimes there's a time to move on and change things, you know. And
proper compensation.
those Hazelwood barrel was so good, but anyway,
proper, respectful, be treated properly. And part of that's basically making this announcement now before the election. If people don't like this approach, then they don't have to vote for it on the 24th of November. If we are successful, we're very clear about our plans when it comes to this issue, and we'll treat those families properly, and they'll be appropriately compensated. The point Jaala makes around the gear that they've purchased and all of those things, as well as their catch history. So this will be done properly, no different to the way the Port Phillip Bay process went. You know, ultimately, once you can be confident that they'll be treated properly, we've got to stop talking about, you know, bringing back the brim. It's not just talking about it. You've got to get on, rehabilitate, invest.
May need to restock.
That's exactly right. And you and I have talked about this many times, that is a beautiful, precious place. And the locals want it back for everybody. And we're going to give it to them.
Just a reminder, everybody, there is a public rally on this Sunday in Paynesville. I'll be emceeing the stage there. Jaala, you're coming down to the rally?
Yeah, I'm going to come along.
And it's this Sunday, 11:30 to 2:30 down at Paynesville Foreshore. There are numerous politicians coming to that event now, and it's going to be well attended. You're going to hear a lot more further detail from you, Jaala, about this and what the Gippsland Lakes needs to be restored to its glorious former self. And it is a really important thing. I know there'll be a lot of people that, you know, perhaps, I mean, there is a community down there, but there is just probably hundreds of thousands of people from Melbourne who go to the Gippsland Lakes. They want to see it restored. So this is a big announcement, and hopefully the people down at Gippsland Lakes embrace it, but more importantly, come to the rally on Sunday and just hear a little bit more info. We're going to build the list a little bit more after this break. See you soon on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing.
G'day, Callan here from Paul Worsland's Tackle World Cranbourne. Supercharged batteries have been supplying maintenance-free marine batteries since 2001. The Seamaster Gold range is second to none, delivering superior starting power and reserve capacity. No need to top up with water, truly a fit and forget battery. With up to 2 years replacement warranty, you know you have quality. Your battery is your lifeline. Without it, you're dead in the water because it's bloody hard to push start. I've got a Seamaster battery in my boat. Make yours a Seamaster Gold today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And now the segment you've all been waiting for.
Hotspots, brought to you by Seamaster Batteries.
Alrighty, a big week on the snapper, and we're going to do hotspots as we normally do because I know a lot of people are getting away for the Melbourne Cup weekend, and it is a big week for fishing. The snapper have arrived, boys.
They certainly have.
And they're on fire, and it's the Melbourne iconic time, isn't it? So there's some good fish around too. So let's kick it off. Port Phillip Bay. Point Richards is the first one, and absolutely fishing. I read about Point Richards in your report down at Geelong, Charlie.
That's right, it's been going really well over there. We had a big night Friday night, no one turned up, but we were out fishing.
That's how good the fishing is.
So stacked up down there. Great.
There you go. The next one is Yakka Reef off Frankston. The fish, I don't know, something about this time of year, or this year, the fish are a little bit closer. Now, Yakka Reef's in about 10, 11 metres. That's one of the reefs that Joe Helper put in. And it is fishing sensationally. Talking to Jason Turner today, and he just said 10 metres off Frankston is the spot.
I was going to say, and if Jason Turner says so,
that's it.
Just write it down.
Okay.
I did say to Jason Turner that we're using him as a bit of barometer.
That's right.
And when he goes from Western Port to Port Phillip, it's time to
switch.
And he goes, customers have been telling me about that. He said, I didn't even know you bloke. No, but he just... Anyway, Frankston, 10 metres. It's the go. Yep.
Do it.
Let's head over to Western Port, and another great place is off Lysarts. Hasn't been actually called Lysarts for about 35 years.
It'll always be Lysarts,
It's Blue Scope still.
It'll always be Lysarts.
For 17 years, I know, but Hastings, the snapper, are going off at Hastings.
They flick the sounder on, you'll mark them up nicely. Water temp's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Pilchards.
You can start switching over now. If Cuda's still around, so good bait. Fresh calamari is always a winner in Western Port.
Let's head to the fourth one, Pelican Island. Some fantastic snapper off Pelican Island.
Pelican Island, we don't see that one feature too often. I like it.
It's a good one. Also the odd...
What's that?
I don't know. Just got there. But good for Mulloway at times too.
Definitely.
So good one, night fishery. We've got some beautiful, calm and balmy nights coming up, and it's going to be a good place to fish. All right, let's move inland now, and a place that I've got to say is probably fishing the best that I've heard forever. Is Blue Rock Lake. Blue Rock Lake down in Gippsland. Now,
something to do with stocking?
Yeah, it's been well
It's all
stocked.
part of the blueprint.
That's
right.
Blue Rock Blueprint.
Exactly.
There you go. The thing about Blue Rock is we went down there and put bass in when the announcement came through about the change in regulations, and we also put a lot of trout in. We helped put trout in with Fisheries. And the thing about it is those trout are now at that 2 to 3 year age. They're a really good size for catching. So some beautiful brown trout come out of Blue Rock Lake. And lucky last is one that we mentioned earlier on, lake tyres. Now, lake tyres, I know we want to get prawns in there, but the water temperatures come up. Frank Nolito's telling me.
Yep.
The dusky flathead.
Time to get the flathead gear out.
I don't think it's going to be that long before we see a 1 metre flathead come out of lake tyres.
Out of a kayak.
And it's a classic because Lake Tyres, Bob Cameron took the nets out of there, and that's why it's a special place. And just up the road, the Gippsland Lakes is not in real good nick. So anyway, that's hot spots. There you go. A few places to go this Melbourne Cup weekend. I hope you all enjoy it. Let's keep going through the list. Fishing tourism.
Well, coming straight off hotspots, we've talked about some magnificent places for people to go spend time, but whether you're talking about SBT in Portland, Lakes Entrance and Gippsland or Nagambie, and countless other places, it's big business, $2.6 billion worth of economic activity. That's because everyone's spending a bit on their trips. We know that from our Ernst & Young study, and we all kind of keep quiet about how much we tell the rest of our families about how much we spend on our hobbies. Yes,
a bunch of lies.
But we reckon it's time for a rec fishing tourism strategy. So this will be about really sort of taking some of those events and those weekend trips and weekend destinations to a whole new level.
There was a great Ernst & Young report came out 2012, I think it was. That was a really good report. We're looking at perhaps doing something like that again because it needs to be another measure taken in the next few years.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. I mean, it's always good to keep an eye on the economic benefits of this. Premier talked before about getting kids off couches and away from iPads, and that's wonderful. But there's also, there is a big economic story in this too.
An economic study was just done recently. I think it actually may have only come out yesterday about the value of putting those big trout into Goulburn River for trout opening.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
That was amazing. 7,000 people attended the Goulburn River for that. So it's just really good bang for buck. Can I move on to one recreational fishing number plates you've put on the list? Tell me about that, because I'm suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Well, you tell me what it's about and I'll tell you why I'm suspicious.
Oh, okay, this is a standoff then, is it? Well, we just think...
You've got this new...
Vic
we get to the good stuff, Charlie.
Vic Roads do lots of personalised number plates. There's lots of special number plates you can buy. And we think that you can add rec fishing to the list. Which there's nothing more involved than that.
Well, what I'm suspicious of is that, and I've heard this, it's not in the rumour file or anything, but I heard that Lisa Neville, who's the police minister, when... So you got this really good number plate recognition system now.
We do, yes.
And I've heard...
I think I know where you're going.
No, tell me if I'm wrong or right.
Pick up a picture
when Collingwood are playing at the Cardinia Park, that system that you have, that number plate recognition, knows when Collingwood supporters go down the Geelong Highway and you're pulling them all over for roadworthies and... Check. Is that right? Is that what you're doing? Is that what Lisa's a Geelong fan? Is that what she's...
I'm an Eston supporter.
Is that what Lisa's doing to Collingwood?
I love the Bombers, but I live in a household of Collingwood supporters, so I'd have to say to you, that's totally wrong.
Okay.
And very,
so you're not going to use these number plates to recognise fishermen for...
No, we won't. It's about people being proud and indicating what is a big and important part of their life. You don't have to do it. If you want to do it, it's added to the list.
So if you had a picture of...
I just reckon Lisa's up to... She's doing something to try and get Geelong every... it's those little 1%ers.
No, she knows and loves her coastal community and knows how important fishing is and...
No, but the Collingwood supporters...
How did you manage to get Collingwood supporters into
that? How did you work that in?
You've been working on that for a while.
No, it's number plate.
So have you got another kayak?
This is why we didn't do the mailbag, so we could do the Collingwood bag.
Like a picture of an abalone on on his number plate.
What, a poacher?
Yeah.
You
have to
But these will be, nice. I mean, what I've learned in 4 years is just how much people love their fishing. Love it so much. What do you buy?
Snapper on your
the fisher who's got everything for their birthday, for Christmas, for Mother's Day, for Father's Day. You get them a number plate.
So every Collingwood win next season, I'm going to wear my jersey to the show.
Oh no!
We can all pitch in and buy him a special number plate.
We haven't got long to go. I just want to take a little bit of time because it's always important to say thanks. And thank you both for coming into this program because, as we heard from Neil Mitchell all day, you don't do a lot of shows like this.
You'd be surprised. I talk to journalists and take their questions every single day. It's a big and important part of my job. The important thing today is not for you to be thanking us. It's for us to say thank you to you and to your viewers and to every rec fisher out there across the state who has made sure we understood just how important this is as a pastime, as a passion, as an industry, and as an employer. And we think this list, as the next step from the one we committed to in 2014, these are all positive plans. And we hope that rec fishers support them.
Beautiful. All right. And we just, this program, we've been dedicated to keeping you people at home well informed about fishing, and that means politics, because politics is in fishing, and we've given you a good view, and I reckon that's a pretty damn good list. So thank you for coming in. That's it for Talking Fishing. We hope you enjoyed this special election edition of the show. Have a great Melbourne Cup long weekend. We hope you back a winner. And until we see you again next Tuesday on Talking Fishing, please stay safe on the water and enjoy your fishing.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing.
Have a good weekend, Mr. Walker.
You too, son.